And then like the generation, they talk so much shit about the game today. And it make you go back and watch the game back then. And it makes you not even want to appreciate it no more like I did when I was a kid.
So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
On multiple occasions, Shaquille O'Neal has openly challenged LeBron James's legacy, his intimidation factor, and his status among the all-time greats. For years, the Big Diesel has been delivering the kind of harsh realities that mainstream media usually shies away from. Every time he weighs in, it creates a massive shockwave across the hoops community. His insights have forced fans to reevaluate what true dominance actually looks like in the modern era. To be perfectly clear, this isn't a hit piece on LeBron. It's about dissecting why one of the most terrifying centers to ever play, a man who was LeBron's teammate and shared his locker room, still refuses to crown him as the GOAT. Shaq's perspective carries a different weight because he understands the psychology of fear on the hardwood. When he breaks down the lack of a killer instinct and the fundamental divide between LeBron and icons like Jordan or Kobe, the puzzle pieces start to fit. During a recent episode of the Big Podcast with his former teammate Mario Chalmers, Shaq dropped a bombshell that incinerated social media. His comments didn't just reignite the GOAT debate, they completely dismantled it, leaving no room for a middle ground.
I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
When the backlash hit, Shaquille O'Neal didn't blink. He doubled down without a second of hesitation. LeBron attempted to fire back on Instagram, highlighting that his streak of double-digit scoring games actually outlasts Shaq's entire career. While that's a glittering statistic, let's be real. It completely bypasses the core of Shaq's argument. The Big Diesel wasn't debating box scores or longevity. He was talking about pure, unadulterated fear. And that psychological edge, more than any trophy, defines ultimate greatness. No one on the court fears LeBron with the same intensity that players once felt for Jordan or Kobe. That speaks volumes. Fear dictates how an opponent operates. It creates hesitation, forced errors, and eventually causes them to break. It's what gives a legend their untouchable aura. Even Mario Chalmers, who walked alongside LeBron through 2 championship runs in Miami, dissected exactly why that intimidation factor isn't there. His breakdown exposed a deeper truth, one that strikes at the very core of how legendary status is truly cemented.
I didn't think players really feared LeBron like they did Jordan.
I never heard anybody say it.
And it's not that you shouldn't fear Bron. I just think at the end of the day, Bron has been through so much that he wanted to be liked. So it was kind of like,
he is a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Very
things
nice.
now where like people like me, people respect.
LeBron always prioritized being liked, which sounds harmless on paper. But when you contrast that with the mentalities of Jordan and Kobe, the difference is jarring. Those two didn't give a damn about approval or off-court popularity. Their only objective was to ensure you were lying awake at night, paralyzed by the stress of having to guard them the next morning. That was their mission. In November 2011, Shaq released his memoir, Shaq Uncut, and that is where the cracks in the narrative truly widened. This tension didn't just materialize in 2024. The critique has been simmering for over a decade. Shaq's revelations about their time together in Cleveland during the 2009-2010 season were devastating. He exposed the kind of internal dynamics that the media usually buries. Shaq was blunt about how Coach Mike Brown handled LeBron with kid gloves, writing that while Brown was a nice guy, he was constantly walking on eggshells because no one was permitted to confront LeBron. The front office was so petrified of him abandoning Cleveland that they allowed him to operate without boundaries. The entire organization compromised its integrity, letting one man play by a separate set of rules, a surefire way to sabotage a championship culture. Shaq recalled a specific film session that highlighted this blatant double standard. LeBron missed a shot and gave zero effort on transition defense, yet Mike Brown stayed silent. Moments later, a clip showed Mo Williams making the same mistake, and Brown immediately snapped, "Yo, Mo, we can't have that." According to Shaq, even Delonte West spoke up, demanding that everyone be held accountable, not just the supporting cast. Yet, nothing changed. LeBron remained untouchable. Now, try to imagine Jordan or Kobe receiving that kind of pass. There is zero chance Phil Jackson would have let them ignore defensive duties without repercussions. They would have been benched on the spot. But with LeBron, the standards were always different. Shaq linked this lack of accountability to LeBron's performance in the 2010 Eastern Conference Finals and the 2011 NBA Finals, questioning his impact when the stakes were highest. Shaq's perspective carries immense weight because he was actually there. He noted that in Game 5 against Boston, LeBron looked completely checked out. Shaq believed LeBron had the talent to take over at will, but in those critical moments against the Celtics and later the Mavericks, it simply never happened. It felt bizarre. Being a playmaker is great, but when you are the superstar, you are expected to be the closer. Shaq pointed to a specific play against Dallas that still haunts the tape. LeBron had a wide-open look, but chose to kick the ball out to Mario Chalmers instead. It made no sense to a dominant force like Shaq. Having shared a locker room with both Kobe and LeBron, Shaq knows exactly what a title-winning mindset looks like. Comparing the two, he didn't hold back. He wrote, "I'm not sure if Kobe would listen to Mike Brown, and LeBron never really did. But the difference was simple. Kobe was always in charge." That wasn't a compliment for LeBron. It was Shaq identifying that Kobe possessed the alpha gene that LeBron lacked. By June 2015, when Dan Patrick asked him to choose between the two, Shaq's answer was instantaneous, delivered with zero hesitation.
What about Kobe and LeBron in their prime?
Well, I'll play with both of them, and Kobe has that killer instinct, and I'll probably have to go with Kobe.
Killer instinct. That specific phrase is the definitive boundary between being merely great and becoming truly legendary. It is the raw force that drove Jordan to demand the final shot every single night, regardless of whether he was shooting lights out or struggling through a slump. It is that same jagged edge that compelled Kobe to rack up 81 points because he simply refused to accept defeat. That is the essence of a killer instinct, a topic Shaq revisited during an ESPN event in Hong Kong. Later that year, Shaq expanded on this concept, and his comparisons spoke volumes. He observed that a young LeBron was essentially a mirror of Magic Johnson. Magic's playstyle paired with Jordan's physical gifts. LeBron prioritized the pass. He thrived on elevating his teammates. But then Shaq drew a sharp line in the sand, stating, "Mike was Mike." Jordan wasn't just elite. He was a unique phenomenon that could never be replicated. This is the crucial detail that most people overlook. Shaq categorized LeBron with Magic, not Jordan. That distinction is everything. Magic Johnson is a pantheon-level icon, undeniably a top 5 talent in history. However, Magic isn't the one people put in the GOAT seat next to Jordan. And in Shaq's eyes, neither is LeBron. That is the fundamental gap he was highlighting. Fast forward to June 2021, when LeBron publicly blasted the NBA's condensed schedule following a wave of player injuries. Shaq wasn't buying it for a second, and his reaction made it clear that he viewed the situation through a much tougher lens.
If you're making $30 million, 80 games is good enough.
All right, 2 more things real quick. Go ahead.
So you want me to pay you $30 million to play 30 games? Hell no.
Right.
No. 80 games is fine, because I did it, Jerry West did it, Kareem did it, Magic did it, Bird did it, Bernard King, like all the great legends before us did it.
That is the generational divide defined in clear, simple terms. Jordan conquered all 82 games without a single complaint. Shaq operated the same way, physically dominating the entire league while he was at it. There were no shortcuts and no requests for special treatment. They didn't hide behind the concept of load management or vent about the intensity of the schedule. They arrived every single night, took care of business, and allowed their sheer brilliance to speak for itself. No excuses were made, and no explanations were needed. Only results.
Couldn't believe that an NBA player could make $1 million. And now these guys are so lucky and blessed, and they can't play basketball 3 or 4 days a week. And I know they hide behind all the analytical bullshit from their agents and people like that. What they're really trying to do is extend their career. The way the money's been and going, depending on who you are, you're going to be able to make another $50, $70, $100 million and probably more going forward if you can extend your career 2 or 3 years.
That same philosophy followed Shaq onto the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, where he laid out his stance with total clarity. There was no ambiguity and no retreating, just raw, unfiltered truth.
I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. LeBron is about to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, but for me, it's always Dr. J and Michael Jordan, Magic and those guys.
Shaq disclosed his definitive top 5 players in history, and the ranking spoke far louder than any interview ever could. It silently revealed exactly where LeBron truly sits in his hierarchy.
Curry at the 1.
Curry, okay.
Kobe at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan at the 3. Tim Duncan at the 4.
Okay.
And me at the 5.
And this isn't some loud reactionary take from a media pundit who never touched the hardwood. This is coming from a 15-time All-Star, a 4-time NBA champion, and a 3-time Finals MVP. A man who shared a locker room with both LeBron and Kobe and recognizes genuine greatness firsthand. After all those seasons, all those wars, and all that firsthand experience, Shaq's verdict was undeniable. Jordan is the GOAT. Kobe is the runner-up. LeBron takes the 3rd spot. No ambiguity, no second guessing. What makes his stance even more pointed is what Shaq intentionally omits. He has consistently left LeBron out of his all-time starting 5. That kind of omission speaks volumes more than any verbal jab ever could. You don't make a move like that by mistake. It's a deliberate statement. Later, on his podcast, Shaq tackled another perspective that is rarely explored. He broke down why LeBron's longevity records can be deceptive, providing the kind of context his fans often choose to overlook. When asked if the modern NBA has lost its physical edge, Shaq didn't blink. His response was resolute, certain, and anchored by decades of elite experience.
But our game is supposed to be more structured. Well, this game we're watching now, I don't know what the fuck we're watching now. Like, right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, suspended. Like, guys ain't even fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy. But when I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to 90s, it was probably more physical then. But
LeBron's endurance is undeniable. He holds the record for the most points in history, and nobody is disputing that achievement. However, the circumstances are critical. He accumulated those stats in a period where hand-checking is forbidden. Physical play results in immediate flagrant calls, and aggressive defense is penalized instantly. Jordan put up his numbers while being physically battered by the bad boy Pistons every single game. Kobe reigned supreme during a time when defenders could still get physical and make every possession a struggle. LeBron, conversely, gets a favorable whistle if a defender even moves in his direction. That is the reality that people usually dodge. Shaq didn't end the conversation there either. He shifted his focus directly toward today's stars, and his irritation was plain to see. No softening the blow, no holding back, just raw honesty.
People get mad. It's just a product of what I see. I've seen what greatness is. Been there, played with him. I don't see that all the time over here.
When critics tried to dismiss his stance as mere bitterness, Shaq didn't back down for a second. He stood his ground, reinforced his point, and emphasized that he stood behind every single thing he uttered.
It never happens. You can call it hate if you want. But even with the word hate, like these kids that like to throw that word around. If you ain't great and I'm great, how the fuck can I hate on you? That don't make no sense.
That isn't bitterness. Those are standards. That is the perspective of a competitor who fought the elite and refuses to compromise the benchmark. And Shaq isn't the only one with this view. During an appearance on the Bill Simmons podcast, Charles Barkley shared his own sharp insights regarding LeBron and his inner circle, adding further gravity to this ongoing discussion.
If you do not say he's the greatest of all time, you're committing treason.
Scottie Pippen appeared on ESPN's First Take and spoke with absolute bluntness. His remarks injected even more intensity into the ongoing dialogue.
When I look at LeBron, he's not what Michael was as a player. He's not even what Kobe Bryant was as a player. When you talk about trying to compare Michael's instinct, his ability to take over games, his ability to want to have that last shot.
And demoralize you.
Yes.
And scare the living hell out of you.
LeBron doesn't have that gene.
Kevin Garnett, appearing on a podcast alongside Bill Simmons and Adam Sandler, spoke candidly about how his Celtics dismantled LeBron's Cavaliers, and his insights were devastating. It was unfiltered, blunt, and completely impossible to disregard.
Nothing? Man, listen, let me say something to you. The C's, we didn't give a fuck about LeBron. We didn't fear LeBron, and we didn't think that he can beat all 5 of us. And that's how it felt. He was trying to consolidate because he didn't want the pressure on him.
Magic Johnson, while addressing the crowd at InvestFest 2025, was questioned about the Jordan versus LeBron debate, and his conclusion spoke volumes. He didn't pause for a second, and his immediate reply ensured his stance was absolutely unmistakable.
Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron, but no.
This isn't just one bitter ex-player with a personal grudge. It is a collective roar from the greatest icons the game has ever produced, all echoing the same sentiment. LeBron is elite. No one is disputing that. But he isn't Michael. He isn't Kobe. He simply lacks the specific fire they possessed, and that distinction is vital. To be balanced, Shaq hasn't completely ignored LeBron's strengths. On Drink Champs in late 2022, he even defended him against Killer Instinct critics by asking how someone, without that edge, could rack up 38,000 points. Later, in 2024, he called LeBron the most impressive young leader he'd ever seen, admitting that LeBron had full command of the Cleveland organization from day one. There's clearly deep respect there. But that nuance is exactly the point. This isn't about trashing LeBron. It's about being truthful about his identity as a player. Shaq draws a definitive boundary between being an all-time great and being the greatest of all time, and LeBron sits on the first side of that line. He is a top 3 talent with a resume that might stand forever. Yet, he doesn't command the terror that made defenders lose sleep before facing Jordan. He doesn't possess the sociopathic drive that led Kobe to an 81-point night. Instead of dismantling empires, he helped pioneer the super team era, all while playing in a more protected, high-scoring environment. When you compare raw mentality, late-game heroics, and psychological warfare, LeBron consistently trails the other two. Shaq's insight carries more weight than any TV pundit or social media superfan, because he actually breathed that air. With 4 rings and 3 finals MVPs, he dominated an era that was significantly more brutal and unforgiving than the current NBA. Most importantly, he was teammates with both LeBron and Kobe, giving him a unique vantage point that the rest of us lack. This isn't a theory, it's a lived reality. After years of competing and analyzing, Shaq's verdict hasn't moved. Jordan is first, Kobe is second, and LeBron is third. That isn't an insult. It's an honest assessment from a man who knows what peak greatness looks like. The uncomfortable truth Shaq has been highlighting is that despite the records, the longevity, and the carefully crafted media image, LeBron still lacks the intangible spark that separated Jordan and Kobe. He never had the fear factor that paralyzed opponents before the opening tip. He didn't have the cold-blooded instinct to demand the ball when the world was watching. LeBron chose to be loved rather than feared. That might be a better way to live, but in the hierarchy of basketball legends, being feared is the ultimate currency. That is why, no matter the points or the years played, he will never occupy that top spot. Shaq has been ringing this bell for a decade. Perhaps it's time to stop ignoring him. Before we finish, I want to hear from you. Do you align with Shaq's definition of greatness, or do you view LeBron's legacy differently? Does killer instinct outweigh the total stats? Is the fear factor even possible in today's game? And can we actually compare these different eras fairly? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely value your perspective. Thank you for watching until the very end. If you like this deep dive, hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Basketball Pulse for more authentic hoops conversation. We have more stories ready for you right here. See you in the next one.